Welcome to Real Foot Forward, a West Tennessee podcast from Discovery Park of America in Union City, Tennessee. Today's episode is brought to you by First Choice Farm and Lawn.
Thank you, Zach, and welcome everybody to Real Foot Forward, a West Tennessee podcast where we explore the history, the people, and the culture of our home here in West Tennessee. I'm your host, Scott Williams. Okay, Zach, before I introduce today's incredibly special guests, what is something you discovered this week at Discovery Park of America?
Well, Scott, for today's episode, I felt like I needed to find a discovery on a certain particular animal. First of all, let me just say that if you ever need questions on anything at our place, Jennifer Wilds, our exhibits director, is the go-to. Because I recently noticed we have some specific bird boxes scattered throughout our heritage park, so I asked her about them. And a few years ago, Discovery Park participated in a bluebird monitoring program with the Tennessee Bluebird Society. And every year, our wildlife department monitors and records the activity of these bluebird nesting boxes.
That's right. Very good. And people might notice them. They have little numbers on them so they can, I think, did she say how many there were? Do you know?
There's 10 total.
Yeah, I was going to say 10 is what I thought there was. So, well, that's a very good one, especially since our guests today are Jeni Veal, Outdoor Tourism Development Manager with the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development. That's a long one, Jenni. And Bob Ford, a wildlife biologist and executive director of the Hatchie River Conservancy. Welcome to the two of you.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Scott. Thanks.
So Zach, how many people have we had on our podcast twice? I mean,
not many. If any at all, I don't know.
I can't. I'm trying to think. I need to go back through and look, but both Bob and Jenni have been on before. We'll put in the show notes links to their previous episodes. Jenni was here to talk about Bike Tennessee, and Bob was here to talk about the Hatchie River. So having them both here is twice as powerful. But they're going to be talking about the newly released Guide to Birding in Tennessee. It is as you can tell, I'm reading this, but we're going to talk not reading in a minute, but it is a beautifully curated statewide resource that highlights birding destinations, festivals, and conservation efforts across all 95 Tennessee counties. So it's a great guide. We're in it, Discovery Park of America. I was privileged to get to go to the kickoff that was in Brownsville at the Welcome Center there. So it is such a pleasure to have you guys. Jenni, we're going to start with you. What was the purpose? Why have a birding guide?
Great. Well, thank you so much. So we are really thrilled to have this new guide to birding in Tennessee, and it's part of our department's focus on outdoor recreation, which is a part of the state's new focus or increased focus on outdoor recreation. In Tennessee, outdoor recreation generates about $13 billion in economic impact and creates about 104,000 jobs across the state. And our state now has a new Office of Outdoor Recreation, and all of our agencies are working in the outdoor recreation space, certainly tourism with our communities and all the outdoor assets that they have. And so we were looking at bird watching as a great opportunity because we live in one of the most biodiverse states, inland states in the country. And bird watching is something that people love to do and love to travel and do. There's about 96 million bird watchers in the United States alone. So we just wanted to reach them with a guide to help them navigate where to go and see birds.
Now, I know, of course, working in the tourism business and attending the governor's tourism conference every year, and we hear the folks from the state tourism department talking about, how many people visit Tennessee, and it's remarkable considering we don't have a beach. Tennessee is far from a beach. And so, but we do have lots of rivers and lakes. And you and I were talking a while ago about, how important it is when you're looking for a place to live, that you want to be able to look at water and, how important is outdoor recreation, both as a tourist attractor, but also as a place to get people to come live here.
Exactly. Yeah, because outdoor recreation is good for everyone. I mean, it's certainly, good for our wildlife and our environment. It's good for residents. Trails are good for people to get out and exercise. and has, health impacts. So the Department of Health is very involved in outdoor recreation. But, certainly as a tourism draw, I mean, we have 59 state parks, and that's growing every day under Governor Bill Lee. So we have 15 state forests, 80 or more natural areas, 80 or more waterfalls, 137 wildlife management areas, and then about 65,000 miles of rivers and streams and creeks across the state. And as far as birding is concerned, we also, with the Mississippi River as our western border, that's we're part of the Mississippi Flyway, which is North America's largest bird migration route. And Bob Ford can speak much more eloquently to the importance of that, but it's a draw for our state, but also a very important environmental piece to our state.
Yeah, the Mississippi River also, so it's the Great River Road is what they call it. And so Discovery Park is one of the interpretive centers along the Great River Road. So as people are exploring the Mississippi River, hopefully they stop by and learn a little bit more about Northwest Tennessee. And Bob, I would love for people who are listening who don't really know much about birding, give us just sort of the basics. What is birding?
Birding can mean just about anything to anybody, Scott, to be honest. It ranges from washing dishes at your kitchen window and watching a cardinal build a nest. You're a bird watcher. At the other extreme are people who travel all over the world and make their vacations and spend their money to go see birds of other countries and birds of other habitats. But the average bird watcher, and there have been studies by the Fish and Wildlife Service to help quantify this. The average bird watcher is in their 40s or so, 40s or 50s, when they start to get real serious about it. They tend to travel with the sole purpose just to see birds. Most people don't travel over 25 or 50 miles to go see those birds, except for an occasional trip somewhere else in the country or around the world. But most people stay pretty close to home, and that the importance of public lands and bird watching can't be overstated. What Jenny said about how rich we are with public lands and public access to such a rich natural heritage here is reflected by birds too, right? And so most people will stay pretty close to home, but have binoculars close at hand and know birds by sight or sound within their area. Most birders like me do most of our identification by bird song, in fact, less so by actually seeing the bird.
So when did you first hear that there was a project underway on creating a guide to birding in Tennessee?
From Jeni Veal. Jenny called and said she had this great idea, as Jenny often does have great ideas, and said, "Can you help with this? We want to do this. We recognize birding as an economic driver," and it is. That bird watching and wildlife photography and gardening are all in the top 5 of rapidly increasing outdoor activities for people in the United States and Canada, all over the world really, but United States and Canada certainly. And so Jenny's idea became fleshed out with a couple of friends of ours at the Tennessee Ornithological Society, and there we had it.
So Jenny, what was the process that you went through? You had this good idea. Talk us through the actual production of making your idea come true.
Sure. Well, and really, I need to say that Commissioner Mark Ezell, our tourism commissioner, was really excited about this project. He had seen some other guides across the country and kind of threw it over to our outreach department and said, "Hey, what do you guys think about doing something like this?" And we're like, "Sure." So I reached out to Bob and asked him about creating a committee of birders to actually help us develop it, because we knew we wanted it to be authentic and accurate and just really reflect the, what birding is in Tennessee. So Bob helped pull in, we had a great committee of people. Our kind of the final committee that ended up helping us with all the writing and photography was Bob and then Graham Gerdeman out of Nashville, who's a prominent birder and an award-winning conservation photographer. And has had birding photography published in many magazines. And then Tony Lance, who's a lifelong birder, and he's the staff naturalist with the Tennessee Wildlife Federation. So we were thrilled to have a committee of people who, from the beginning, helped us identify what stories we wanted to tell, like what we were going to write about. And we decided to focus on kind of the 3 grand divisions of the state and what birding is like in those areas. And they wrote the content and provided the pictures and just helped us pull it all together. And we worked with an outside designer who pulled together this piece. And the goal was to have it mainly online. So you can find this birding guide on our website, tnvacation.com. There's a button you can click on that's kind of in the same place where you can find our Tennessee Vacation Guide, and it takes you to the digital version. But we printed it as well. Our marketing team had it printed and knew that we'd want to have some printed copies, but those have been flying off the shelves. So I think the printed piece is going to be equally as important. We're going to have them in all of our welcome centers across the state, and then also Tennessee State Parks will have them available. So we're kind of learning as we go, like how much of an interest there will be in having like physical copies of this guide. But so far, it's been really exciting to see this interest. But we're so grateful to our team of writers who helped us pull this together. I feel like we have such an authentic birding guide. It wasn't something just written by a marketing department. This was written by actual renowned Tennessee birders. And they were adamant that we used photography of birds that were taken in Tennessee. So I think people in the birding community will really appreciate that.
We've already ran out of the printed copies here. If you don't mind sending more.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we need
we'll be right on it.
We could probably sell them, Jenny. If you
I
want.
know. I know.
We'll sell them and send you guys the money to help pay for the printing.
Send it to Bob. Send it to Bob for Hatchie River Conservancy.
Hatchie River Conservancy. Thank you.
So Bob, Jenny alluded to the differences between the 3 grand divisions here in Tennessee. Of course, I know there's a lot of different aspects of our 3 grand divisions. Tennessee really is a very long state, and therefore, it's a lot of differences. Tell us a little bit when it comes to birding. What are the differences between the 3 divisions?
Tennessee is an incredibly diverse state for natural resources and bird life. Here in West Tennessee, the natural habitats for birds are driven by rivers and wetlands. Slow moving rivers like the Mississippi or the Hatchie that flood in a natural way out and create wetlands. As a result, what's most visible for bird watchers are herons and egrets, water birds. Shorebirds migrate through here in big numbers along the Mississippi River. They're the small birds. A lot of people call them beach birds. You'll see them running along the surf at the beach, but they migrate through here in the spring and the fall. And then, of course, eagles and others, waterfowl, ducks, geese. As you move into Middle Tennessee, it changes into a more rolling forested pasture landscape. And there, grassland birds and upland forest birds are easily seen. There are a lot of birds that hang out in grasslands. One is the scissor-tailed flycatcher, which is really a bird. It's a remarkable bird. You can see it perched on a wire like a mockingbird, except this has a tail the tail is longer than the length of its body. So you can tell it's a scissor-tailed flycatcher, but it's a bird of open grassland pasture kind of feels. And then in East Tennessee are the mountains, which offers a totally unique aspects of bird life in Tennessee. A lot of the birds in the high elevation of the Smoky Mountains are actually much more abundant in the northeast United States and into Canada. Birds like saw-whet owl or a couple of the flycatchers, red crossbill, for example, all birds that really are northeast and Canadian birds, but occur here in Tennessee thanks to the mountains. So from Smoky Mountains, you can see birds common in Canada to the Mississippi River, see birds that are more common on the Gulf Coast and everything in between.
So Zach, here's a trivia question for you. What is the state bird of Tennessee?
Oh, man.
I'll be honest, I just Googled it.
Okay. I know Kentucky's is the cardinal. I'm sorry, I don't know about Tennessee.
It's the mockingbird.
Oh, wow.
which is on the front cover of our guide.
That's
I
what I
should
was
have
going to
known that.
ask you. I'm looking at the
Yes.
guide now. I was going to ask you if that is the actual mockingbird, which is the state, and is that actually from Tennessee? That bird?
I believe so. I think, Bob, isn't that one of Graham's photographs? I believe it is.
It is. It is. That's a
Yes.
bird. That's a Tennessee bird you're looking at there on the cover. Hey, Scott, there's an interesting and quick story about how the state bird was selected in Tennessee. Tennessee Ornithological Society is the oldest southeastern state bird club. It's one of the oldest state bird clubs in the United States. It was formed in 1915. And in the 1930s and 40s, bird conservation and identification of birds was a big part of school kids' curriculum. Kids were taught about birds, and adults knew birds. Everybody seemed to know at least a few birds. And when it came to pick a state bird, the Tennessee Ornithological Society members could have just sent in a few recommendations, but instead they went to every single school, or almost every school, with the help of all the state representatives in the state, and asked kids what they thought would be the most appropriate state bird. And they had examples of, a mockingbird and a cardinal and a wren and some other red-tailed hawk. And the kids chose mockingbird, and that's how we got the mockingbird as a state bird here in Tennessee.
Huh, that's very interesting. And you mentioned I was going to ask you about, is there any big Tennessee, birding organization? So are you a part of that club?
I am. Have been since I was in high school.
So you should suggest that they have a meeting here at Discovery Park, since we have duck, duck, goose, waterfowl of the Mississippi Flyway. This would be a great place for them to come check that out.
That's a fantastic idea. Tennessee Ornithological Society at Discovery Park. It's a good match.
And we'll get Jenni to come and bring some guides to birding in Tennessee.
Yes, I would definitely do that.
So, Jenni, the old print salesman in me is curious about the process that you went through and who actually laid it out, who did the actual artwork and the printing and all of that, and what was the process? You were the head of the project. Did you actually proof big giant prints of the pages, and what did you go through to get it actually printed?
No, everything's digital. And what's so nice, so we were reviewing everything digitally. We worked with a group, Executive Media Global, and they designed it for us. They had created some guides in other states. However, ours was a whole new beast. They had produced some guides with advertising kind of on their own. And we said, we'd like to do this, but we want to create the content ourselves with, through our birding community, and not have advertising. So, publishing it through the state tourism office, we were able to do it differently. But no, we reviewed it digitally and, wanted to make it, it's kind of a magazine. I was laughing when we had the launch of it in Brownsville, like you mentioned. There was a gentleman who was holding a $20 bill and trying to give it to me. I was like, well, I want to buy one of these books. And I was like, well, it's not for sale. It's free. And he's like, just looked at me so puzzled that it could be free. So I think he made the donation to the Hatchie River Conservancy. He just couldn't fathom getting this book and not paying anything. So Bob got the benefit of that, or his organization.
I saw him do that.
Yes. But so we just were, wanted to make it a quick reference, but also really something somebody could sit down and get a lot of information from and read. And so we have, like I mentioned, articles about responsible birding for people that are new to birding. Articles about Mississippi Flyway, the Tennessee National Wildlife Refuge. We have Seven Islands State Birding Park, which is a Tennessee state park. So we have an entire article about that. And then one of my favorite articles was about seasonal birding highlights across the state. And that was written by Tony Lance. And I didn't realize, there were different times of the year there's spectacles of birds in different places. And one of them, I didn't realize, I live in Sequatchie County in southeast Tennessee, and every year there are swallow-tailed kites that come to the Sequatchie Valley in Dunlap. And I'm not sure that a lot of the people that even live in the Sequatchie County know this, but the birding community does. And so it's really great to have these highlights of where to go to see birds as they're migrating through, or kind of making their annual where they show up. Ashland City has cliff swallows and the bald eagles at Reelfoot Lake. purple martins in Nashville. So really, just really cool stuff. And then we also have an article about conservation of birds, which our team, and especially Bob, is so conscientious of and wants to share with the world about the need for all of us to care more about birds and their conservation status.
Now, Bob, speaking of conservation, when you were last on the podcast, you were talking about some threats to the Hatchie River. Have some of those been solved, or is it still something people need to be aware of?
Definitely something people still need to be aware of. It's not a problem that happened overnight, so it won't be solved overnight. The biggest issue is sedimentation, whereas the Hatchie River has never been channelized. That is, it's never been manipulated to become a flood-controlled ditch like most rivers in the lower Mississippi River Valley. The Hatchie still has a meander and a natural flood regime. However, all of the creeks that come into the Hatchie have been straightened into straight-line ditches, and as a result, that carries a whole lot of sediment into the Hatchie, which kills the timber and helps and floods out or causes serious problems in the Hatchie River itself. So we are working to correct those problems with state agencies like the West Tennessee River Basin Authority, but it's still a big issue here for threats to bird habitat.
And so I was ignorant of all of that until we worked on our exhibit, Duck, Duck, Goose, Waterfowl, the Mississippi Flyway. And the fact that, duck hunters who buy the duck stamp and help fund conservation, are really advocates of not doing the trenching, because years ago when they trenched everything out, it got rid of the floodlands. And so therefore it got rid of the ducks. So really important for everybody to be aware of things like that, because once the ducks are gone, they're gone. And there was one called the Labrador duck that we have here at our exhibit. It's really just an empty case where a Labrador duck would have been, but the Labrador ducks are gone forever. So really
Correct.
something, conservation is so important. And Jenny, you mentioned the different areas. I know here at Reelfoot Lake, yes, we have eagles, and everybody associates, the eagles at Reelfoot Lake, but we also have white pelicans, and they have a white pelican festival every year at Reelfoot Lake. And it is fascinating. You don't really think of pelicans as being at Reelfoot Lake, but they come, there's thousands of them out there, which is really interesting. Jenny, what has been the response so far to the final guide, now that you have it open and launched and you've done the press release and cut the red ribbon, and how have people responded to it?
Again, I think that we've had such a great response to, like, from the welcome centers. We're hearing that they've already run out of guides, and we provided those about a month ago. Our state parks are interested in having these guides, and anyone that we've given guides to doesn't have them anymore. So we feel like it's going to be a great tool and well used. And what we hope is that many of our partners across the state will link from their websites to the birding guide so that they can kind of host it through their websites as well. So it just becomes more and more accessible to the world and shared with visitors and residents. This is a tool that could be used in schools as well.
So I tell you what, let's take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll talk a lot more about tourism, biking, conservation, birding. We have a lot more to talk about.
First Choice Farm and Lawn is proud to serve our community. With their exceptional customer service, certified technicians, and knowledgeable staff, they're sure to take care of all your outdoor lawn care needs. Visit them at 1800 West Reelfoot Avenue in Union City, or at any of their other locations in Tennessee, Kentucky, and Arkansas. For more information, visit firstchoicekubota.com or find them on Facebook.
Thank you, Zach. Little known fact, I'm happiest on my Kubota.
I need to get me
a
one
bumper
there.
sticker. I hope you're enjoying the Reelfoot Forward podcast from Discovery Park of America. If you are, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a positive review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Our guests today are Jeni Veal and Bob Ford. So, Bob, are there things that Tennesseans who may be listening, of course, people from any state, I really should say, that are listening, are there things they should do, whether they have 5 acres or 1 acre or a backyard? Are there things we can do to help the bird population here in our states?
Yes. well said. If you have 1 acre, 5 acres, or 500 acres, habitat is the primary limiting factor for birds. They have to have habitat, which means they have to have water, food, and shelter. Uh, I encourage people to use whatever space they have that may be lawn, whether you think of your church, or your community center. Instead of a big lawn, how about pollinator gardens, increasing the shrub row so it's a little wider, let trees grow a little taller. It can still be a park-like, very nice setting, but just adding some habitat helps birds a lot, no matter how big or small the acreage. With that, that's mainly the shelter. The shelter will provide food and water, but to have a bird bath is fairly simple to put one out. If you have running water at that bird bath, it's going to be 10 times better because birds will be able to find it faster. They listen for the running water. And then, of course, feeding birds is fun and good for birds. I personally like to use primarily black oil sunflower seed. Almost everything eats that, and it's fun to watch, and it helps birds out.
Yeah, I was just telling Jenny a little bit ago that my wife and I, we have about right behind our house. I'm not bad with dimensions, but it's about an acre strip that we didn't mow and just let it grow natural. And I just bought a whole bunch of like wildflower and pollinator seeds and just threw them out there.
Oh, perfect.
And it's been amazing this year, just the sheer number of birds that we have. That we get to sit and watch. And I actually have the Tennessee Birding Guide, and I use it to sort of figure out what the most common ones are. So it's really added a lot to us, and hopefully we're helping the birding population.
One thing, Scott, that I've found too, has certainly happened in my life, but I see it in almost everyone else, is as you start to observe birds, you obviously become more observant of what's around you, everything that's around you, right? You begin to see things that previously you may not have noticed or seen. That pollinator garden, that 1 acre you have, I imagine is bursting with butterflies right now because butterflies are off the charts,
exactly
right?
what I said. Yeah, we
Yeah,
have so many. They're also they're coming like in waves of color, like the yellow ones and then the black ones. And then
perfect.
I actually saw a monarch the other day. I was really excited because I know those are very endangered.
Yeah.
Are there particular birds that you can think of right now off the top of your head that are endangered that we might see frequently here in Tennessee that we should be concerned about?
Oh, let's see. There are several species are not yet endangered, but the work that I've done in the past as a wildlife biologist, we've identified groups of birds that are in steep population decline and will become endangered species within the next 20 to 30 years if we don't do something now. And Tennessee has several of those birds. Even our one of our favorites, you can see a picture of this bird in almost every coffee shop in every small town in Tennessee, is a red-headed woodpecker. Striking red head. Adult has striking red head with white and black. They still appear to be common when you're driving through a rural landscape or you're at a park. However, they're probably 5 times less common than they were just 20 years ago, even though we still see them all over the place. So how do we begin to stop those population declines so that we maintain the abundance of birds that we have in Tennessee now? It's not just a matter of a whole lot of different species, but it's the abundance of birds, right, that also indicate the quality of our natural resources. So red-headed woodpecker and meadowlark is another one that people grew up with, love, but still see them around. But there are many, many fewer meadowlarks in the world today than there were just 20 years ago.
Well, I appreciate the work that you're doing over at the Hatchie and here in West Tennessee and throughout the state to help remind us all how important it is. Jenny, you'll be at the governor's conference, I'm assuming, in a few weeks. We'll be there. Can you give us any sneak peeks of what's going on in Tennessee that we can look forward to?
Well, I know that the commissioner is working on some really fun videos, as he always has some kind of surprise for us all at the governor's conference. And I do know that's in process. But no, we're just excited to be in Kingsport this year and hope everybody will join us. It's such a great opportunity to get together with tourism partners across the state and share ideas and kind of learn the cutting edge of, what's happening. Of course, we've got a rural session that happens the day before the conference. So for all of our at-risk and distressed counties, which are considered our rural partners, our outreach team hosts a special day just for them. So we hope everybody that is in those rural counties will come and spend the day. But no, we're just excited to be in Kingsport. Kingsport has I have to plug Bike Tennessee. Kingsport has a green belt, and I'm bringing my bike to check it out. So
that's nice.
Yeah. I love getting to go across the state and figure out what kind of cycling there is there. But everybody loves the green belt in Kingsport.
So how is the whole Bike Tennessee promotion going?
It's going really well. We had Dirks Bentley recently post about Bike Tennessee. So if you go on the Dirks Bentley's Instagram page or TN Vacation Instagram page, you can see him talking about Bike Tennessee and cycling in Tennessee. He's got a new song out that's kind of off the beaten path. And so he's been promoting that and cycling. So we were super excited by that. And that made a huge impact on viewership to our website. And we're, just plugging away with our 52 road cycling routes and excited about that. We may have a really cycling influencer coming to visit us in Tennessee to ride some of our routes in October, but that's not confirmed yet. Can't say a whole lot more. But currently, Shannon Burke, who is our route developer and professional cycling guide, he's developing gravel routes, and he'll be looking at about 35 gravel routes that he's mapping out across the state. And gravel is huge. People are really excited about gravel roads. It's not mountain biking, but it gets you off the roads. And so we have a ton of beautiful areas, and West Tennessee does, especially the levee roads up along the Mississippi River are one of the areas that we're considering. So that will be launched in early 2026. And then we're also contracting with the Southern Off-Road Bicycle Association, or many people may know them as SORBA. They're an umbrella organization within 7 states. And we have 7 chapters of SORBA in Tennessee, and they will be helping us to kind of round up our mountain biking that will be a part of Bike Tennessee as well, to what we'll be linking out to. So Bike Tennessee is essentially becoming a one-stop shop for cycling. We'll be adding rail trails and some of the longer greenways and green belts like Kingsport and Chattanooga's Riverfront. So we're excited about all that's developing in the cycling world and all the partnerships that are coming as a result of that. We're really bringing together the businesses and bike shops and bike clubs and people working in cycling space. So it's really fun.
All that's great, but do you have a Bike Tennessee t-shirt yet that, uses that great logo?
Yes, we do. Did I not give you one, Scott?
I don't think so. No,
Oh, goodness.
I'm hurt.
I will have one for you at Governor's Conference then.
Extra
We
large.
have extra large. Okay. All right. We have blue, green, black, white.
Oh, wow. I know that when you unveiled it, everybody was excited about the program, but people kept talking about the logo and how,
Yes.
And it actually moves on the PowerPoint that you showed. It was really
People
cool.
have gone crazy about the logo. It's so good. And we had our agency, VML, created that for us. And it's been really fun to share that. So.
Oh, look, Zach's he's holding up the
sticker.
He's got that. I don't even have a sticker.
It is a
Where'd
cool
you
logo.
get
All right,
it?
well-
I'll bring you a sticker.
I know where you got that, Zach. Did they send those when the people from Ride the Fault Line were here?
Yep.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, Ride the Fault Line covers a lot of states, and they spent 3 nights here at Discovery Park, sleeping here in the museum and then riding out each day. There were about 250 cyclists, and if anybody doesn't believe that cycling is good for tourism, they didn't see these folks who were here, who just had a ball here in Tennessee. So.
Yeah.
Very cool. So good job on that program. Well, thank you both to Bob and Jenny. Thank you both for your work promoting tourism in Tennessee and getting more visitors here to Discovery Park, but also, all the work you do with conservation and outdoors, so important to the future of our country. So kudos and thank you.
Well, thank you, Scott. We appreciate the work that you do at Discovery Park, and thanks for helping to share all the cool things that are happening across the state. But we love coming to Discovery Park and getting people out to visit you all.
I appreciate it, Scott, and thank you too. It's always great to be on your show, and what you're doing there at Discovery Park is really making a difference in kids' lives, everybody's lives, kids and adults. Thanks.
Awesome. And thanks to all of you listeners who've joined us today at Discovery Park of America. Shout out to our friends over at First Choice Farm and Lawn for sponsoring today's episode. Our mission here is to inspire children and adults to see beyond. To plan an experience here for you and your family, visit discoveryparkofamerica.com.